It's a member-supported Hawaii Public Radio, all things considered, and Dave Lawrence. Grateful to have you here and on board. We have a very special guest joining us. He's got a whole week of shows with he and his band, or almost a week. I think 4 dates in the Hawaii area. Girls, Guns, and Glory is the group. They are a Boston area band, despite their country leanings. And April 7th, Hawaii Theater. April 8th, McCoy Studio Theater at the MAC on Maui. April 9th. At the Mad Marlin, of course, in Kailua Kona, April 10th, the Polynesian Room in Hilo. They're coming to town. It's a real pleasure because we've got guitarist and vocalist Ward Hayden of the band joining us right now on the line. Hey, Ward, how you doing? Aloha and welcome.
Dave, doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing very good, brother, and super cool that you would take some time to get in touch with us. And this is an unusual band. As I was saying, they're a band that are from the Boston area, but it has a unique sound associated with sort of classic country in some ways, Americana. What's your spin on it?
You know, I mean, I think you said it pretty well. It certainly falls under the umbrella of Americana, but it's roots rock and roll with a twist of country music.
And you guys are all from the Boston area. Describe your background and connection there.
Yeah, I'm born and raised. I grew up in a little seaside town called Situate, Massachusetts, and then been in the Boston area itself for probably 6 or 7 years now. And two of the guys are actually from right near Philly, originally from Pennsylvania, and we've all been in Boston now. I think most of them going on close to 10 years.
So did they migrate up there? Is that where the band sort of coalesced, made its name?
It is. That they kind of found their way to Boston, and I met them just through the local scene.
And you grew up in Situate, you said, and what first got you into music? Were you a young kid listening to WBCN, ZLX, AAF? What was it?
That's exactly what I was doing. As a huge BCN fan, that was my station growing up, and a real thrill for me was when the band started getting going. We played in the Rumble, and we wound up winning. And as a kid, I used to always go to the River Rave. And then when I was probably about 25, 26 years old, we wound up getting to play the River Rave, which was just a thrill to kind of go from fan to actually being a part of the show.
How cool is that? Now, the River Rave, for folks not as familiar, it was like their annual spring multi-band alternative rock get-together at the big shed in the area, where they used to do it down at the Comcast Center. Used to be the Tweeter Center. Is that still the place they do that at?
It is. Man, Dave, I'm impressed. You really know your Boston music history. That's awesome.
So a lot of shows there, cuz, and that's a funny. Now, which year were you doing your the River Rave? Which year was that?
We did it in 2009.
Okay, so I was long since gone from there, and that was the last year of the River Rave. As I'm doing my math, there wasn't much BCN left. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was the tail end of it. I think it was one of the last WBCN Rumbles that they ever had. And then what's cool is that the Rumble's actually been revived. WZLX does it now, so the tradition continues. Right,
yeah, and a bunch of those cats are now over at ZLX, of course, Carter Allen and so forth, and probably Bill Abbott and other guys as well. Now, the thing,
mm-hmm.
now you were saying I was good on my Boston history. I'm going to turn the tables on you, Ward, here. Now, there's no extra...
Let's see how I do.
No extra points on this or anything, but since we are talking about the River Rave, which no one out here has a clue about other than what we're telling them, the name of the event, even though you and I are discussing its habitation over at the big 20,000-seat outdoor shed, which is in Mansfield, Mass., not far from where the Foxborough Stadium is in Foxborough, Mass. The River Rave got its name because it was actually held at a different venue a long time ago. Along what what venue and along what river?
Wow. I mean, this is a total stab in the dark because I'll be honest with you, I have no clue. But I mean, I'm guessing the Charles River.
And what venue?
Wow.
You're half there, dude. Come on now. Don't tell me you don't know where that thing first was held.
Man, I can't even imagine.
I'm going to give you another hint.
Okay, was it the Hat Show?
Oh, and I was going to give you a hint. I was going to say Arthur Fiedler and see if you could go from there.
Oh, that's funny.
But
I remember being, the first river rave I went to was probably mid to late 90s, I want to say.
Okay. So it was already down there at the, so you didn't go to the very first one, which was 1995, as I recall, over there at the Hatch show, which you did get.
Oh, wow. No, the first one I went to was at the Tweeter Center there. And I remember Green Day actually came to the Hatch show, and it was like riotous.
That's right. That's right. 1994.
Yeah, 94. So you were in Boston during that time?
Yeah, I lived there from 1990 to 2002. And actually, when that show happened that you're talking about with Green Day at the Hatch, I lived right around the corner in Beacon Hill. So that was really easy to get to and was, as you described, just total lunacy. Yeah.
Is that why... is that what resulted in having like BCN things moved?
Actually, that was not how it went, as I recall, because actually we did our rave there the following year in 1995 when there was no chaos, thankfully, associated with it. I'm not sure entirely.
Oh, good.
I think that the reason that they started putting them there was just to make it a paid event so that you could make money off of it and put more people in it. And the Hatch Show was a free event. And you couldn't really make any dough off of it. So
I gotcha.
But it was very cool that we have the shared history, and obviously it's super neat that you have the connection there in another place. But before we get into your music, two venues that I'm wondering how much of a connection you have. The music hall that used to be called Harper's Ferry, right? Do you play there too much?
We have played there in the past. When it was Harper's Ferry, we actually used to play there a lot. Like when I first moved to the city, that was the venue we were playing pretty regularly. And like our very first big Boston show was at Harper's Ferry when the Bottle Rockets bailed out, and there was like a 1 week's notice or something. We took the slot and kind of got in with the agent over there who was booking the room. And I remember, I was real new to living in the city. I got towed out of that back parking lot 3 times, like the span of a month. Like I just could not figure out how to park in that part of Brighton. I mean, it was crazy.
Were you an Allston Brighton resident? Were you a resident of Allston Rock City yourself?
No. I was living in Cambridge at the time, so I was driving over, and I was also getting towed regularly in Cambridge. Like the whole street parking thing, coming from Scituate and everything, is so new to me. I could not figure out how to park on the street and not get towed.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, and I lived there a long time, and it is adorable. It's almost like you're really. It's like I'm more from Boston than you are, all the way out here. Because I remember that bit well. I had Joe Perry from Aerosmith on not long ago, and as you may know, their famous house was right on Com Ave, just around the 2 blocks from the Harper's Ferry was the house that they had lived in, and I had lived right across the street from it. So he and I reminisced about the parking for quite some time. It never has changed. Apparently, it was that bad, Ward, when before you were born, and it's still that bad.
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, that's Boston for you.
No doubt. And then the other one is, since you're a Cambridge boy, Joseph and Nabil, are they still the guys running the Middle East, or did they sell it?
They are. They actually just recently purchased the building. It's kind of, T.T. the Bears is gone, but the Middle East is doing pretty well, and eventually they're going to build condos on top.
Unreal.
The crazy thing is it's going to actually save the music venue underneath, because it was quite a big expensive purchase for them. But we've seen a lot of like the rock rooms leave Boston, unfortunately, and it's nice to see some of them finding ways to stay and thrive.
And that's a real legendary one. Those guys have been doing it since they helped be pioneers with the hardcore scene in the early 70s right there in Cambridge. And the fact that I also did hear they bought that place in the corner, right? They bought the little Indian place in the corner. So now it's like the whole corner is theirs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's as cool and kind of like a hip place as it's ever been.
And you guys have been supportive. It sounds like you're really, you've been supportive of the scene there too. Was it awkward? I mean, kind of describe for me, because when I was there was a lot of room, as you can imagine. Boston's the kind of scene where just about everything can thrive, but the sound that you have is a pretty unusual one for that neck of the woods. Kind of paint a picture for the development of the band and how you guys have taken off.
Yeah, I mean, when I started doing Girls, Guns, and Glory, it was a real anomaly in the city. I mean, like we were too rock for the listening rooms, and we weren't rock enough for the the real, like, kind of tried and true like rock rooms of note, like the Middle East and TTs and everything. And just little by little, it took about 2 years of just kind of making phone calls, knocking on doors, going to other people's shows, and just trying to make enough connections in the scene to get a foot in the door. And thankfully, I mean, once it kind of caught on in the city that Boston's been a really supportive community, and the music communities, it's changed over the years, but it's become really open, I think, to a lot of bluegrass, a lot of country, a lot of stuff outside of just being a rock town, I think.
And you guys have some cool, you're spreading it, your thing all over the place. Obviously, you're coming here, you're going elsewhere. I've seen you've gone overseas. I guess it was like the UK or something like that. How far does your reach stretch?
Yeah, we've been going over to Europe once or twice a year for the past 5 or 6 years. And, this last year we had a blast getting to go to some new countries. Went to Norway for the first time, which was really eye-opening. I just thought it was a really like beautiful and clean and just kind of cool place that it was different from some of the other places we've been to in Europe. And France, of all places, was really the first country that got hip to what we were doing. And I think we've done 9 tours of France at this point. And it's really funny that there's like a real underground country thing happening over there, and there, a lot of people are hip to the more popular country, but like the alternative country is getting a fair shake over there, and we've been pretty happy to be a part of it.
Is that what you call yourselves, Ward? Alternative country? This is kind of a new thing, huh? It's like it's almost like we saw country become contemporary with like contemporary adult artists in like the 80s, 90s. Then it sort of moved into young girls, real hot girls playing country music. Now it's sort of like alternative rock country, huh?
Yeah. I think alt country is a fitting title. It cracks me up because we've been in California for a few days, and we were in Bakersfield the other day, and after the show, people were coming up and just saying how unusual it was to hear the Bakersfield sound in Bakersfield, which we kind of went there never having been there before, expecting that Buck Owens style of country, that Dwight Yoakam sound to like really kind of still be happening. But I guess things change, and the popularity of that music has changed. We even went to the Crystal Palace to see the Buckaroos, and it was it was kind of like seeing a wedding band. The whole time we were there, they only played one Buck Owens song, and so for us it was kind of fun because we've been so inspired by Merle Haggard and Buck Owens and Red Simpson, to go there and get to play our derivative of that music and get to meet people from the area and I think for us it was kind of encouraging that whether you call it alt country or Americana or roots rock or whatever you call it, it was reaching some thirsty ears there in Bakersfield, so it was rewarding.
Where did the guys in Korn come out and catch it? Anybody unusual sticking their nose in your business yet?
No, not really. I mean, we one of these days maybe.
Well, you never know. I mean, because people are going. I mean, it's a whole weird, and that's not a bad reference because it's like that's not a band that a lot of their original fans would have thought would start doing electronica or other kinds of stuff that they're getting into. So I mean, a lot of bands are going into weird territories. And when I saw you guys were doing a gig, I guess it was in Vermont, something, it was a cool poster. It had ZZ Top, Buddy Guy, Albert Lee, Marshall Tucker, all these different people on the same bill with you. What's the most interesting bill that you've gotten to do so far?
And that's a good question. Honestly, I think that River Rave bill might have been the strangest bill I've ever been on. Like for me, growing up, I was a big Stone Temple Pilots fan, and that year at the River Rave, they were the headlining band, and they'd gotten back together. So it was just an eclectic bill of here we are, like a country band opening the show, and then it was pretty eclectic to begin with. There, it was guys like Everlast are on the bill, and
it's Everlast, it's STP. Who else is on the bill besides them?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember some of the other bands. From Boston, or originally from Boston. Now I think from California. Street Dogs, who were like, the original singer for the Dropkick Murphys. They were one of the bands on the bill, and it was super eclectic. I mean, we're a mix of rock and roll and some acoustic music, and it was just interesting, just how heavy the show got sort of after our set,
right?
Because we often get paired with a lot of very similarly styled music, a lot of anything from even modern country to that like classic rockabilly kind of stuff.
That makes more sense, though, too. I mean, kind of like the bill I mentioned in Vermont. That, to me, is, I think that sounds, just like it'll hit, you'll have more satisfied customers, I guess, is what I would say.
Personally, I love variety. Like I'm a fan of Lyle Lovett. I remember years back, my parents had actually taken me to see him, and I remember at his show, it was like, not only did he, like, pass the lead vocals around the band, I mean, he let other people shine, but they just played so many styles of music, and they were so good at it. Like, recently, we went and we saw Marty Stewart and his Fabulous Superlatives, and it was just so impressive, how many styles of music those guys touch upon. And I think first and foremost, I'm a fan of music, even before I'm a maker of music, and I just love seeing that, when people aren't just a one-trick pony, that they're really diverse in what they do and what they create. And to me, it makes for a great night of music. It's really how we've kind of styled our own stuff. Like the Girls, Guns Glory sound does kind of run the gamut of American styles of music. Everything from Western swing to truck driving music to like that early rockabilly rock and roll sound, and all the way up to the Bakersfield sound and the classic sounds of Hank Williams and everything.
I know what you mean. I mean, I'm a big fan of Bill Graham, and I like the idea of bands who, I like the ways he used to do concert bills when I was a little kid, and I know, I mean, I saw Van Halen with Kool and the Gang as their opener a couple years ago, and I really enjoyed the fact that I flew thousands of miles just to see it because I wanted to see one of my favorite funk bands open up for one of my favorite hard rock bands. So I dig what you mean about the diversity. I also, at the same time, right, flip the other side of that coin is I stood there in the arena with 18,000 white dudes who sat down while Kool and the Gang wailed, right? They didn't want to see it. They didn't really like it. Now, I got off. Did I have a great night? You're damn right. Do I regard it as one of the coolest double bills I've ever seen because of that diversity? Absolutely. But it's also, we're in a weird era too. It's hard to get people, it's hard to tell people what, it's what you're saying is challenging, and I like that you like the challenge and you'd rather try to mix it up and expose different people to things. And when we think about the show that you put on, I know that Hank factors in there hard. Or when it comes to your influences, Ward, are you guys on stage kind of demonstrating to folks a little bit of where you guys come from, maybe explaining some of the history of your own selves and your evolution in music during the course of the program?
We are. I mean, definitely. Just being a band that plays country music that is from the Northeast, it kind of warrants an explanation. And, a lot of times, that's
a good line.
I try to explain, just how much that when I discovered that music for myself and just how much it moved me and how it like it's kind of like, when Elvis started playing his version of rock and roll is just, it's what you feel. And I think that's I was a guy who went to traditional college and was pursuing a whole other career. And I'm sure known the music business pretty well. It can be a great business, but not too many people are getting rich from it anymore. So for me personally, to walk away from a more steady paycheck and to pursue something like music, and that's kind of a gamble. It really is a labor of love. I think anyone who does it, you either got to love it or be half crazy, or if you're like one of my idols, Dale Watson, you might have to be a little bit of both.
I was going to say, you got to be a little of both. What school did you go to, Ward?
I went to the University of Connecticut.
Okay, UConn. There you go. Well, I was over at Emerson, my young friend.
Oh, nice. That was actually one of the schools I was very strongly considering, and then I wound up actually going into teaching. So I went down to Connecticut, and I even did the 5-year plan, much to my parents' chagrin. But I will say I enjoyed myself maybe a little bit too much, because I'm still paying those student loans for that 5th year.
Were you into Fish?
No. Like I was really getting deep into country music, almost exclusively by the time I was about 20. When I started listening to, Charlie Pride and some of the older stuff like Jimmy Rogers, I was really big into his yodeling style. Nobody wanted to ride in my car because I kept putting on all this old country stuff and rap and everything. Like Dr. Dre's The Chronic 2001 was like the most popular album when I first got to UConn, and everybody was listening to it. And I remember everybody's car was like Dr. Dre or Eminem, and then you get in my car and it was like, hey, good looking, all the stuff that I don't think many of my friends were really digging at that point.
Were you yodeling for them sometimes?
No, I wasn't singing at all. Actually, I was purely just absorbing, the sounds and the songs at that point, and starting to learn more of just like picking up some biographies, and it had always been music that had been like in my house, but it was my mom's music, so it wasn't anything that appealed to me up until I started to be able to connect with the lyrics, which I think it's one of those things that you just have to grow up and have a few life experiences, and all of a sudden those lyrics just come alive for you. And that's how it happened for me. And for probably the first 5 years, I was just really trying to absorb it and even understand what was going on. And I think the reason I'm even playing it today is when I did finally get a guitar in my hand, playing some of those Hank songs, you learn 3 or 4 chords, and all of a sudden you could play a bunch of these songs where when I was younger, I was a huge Guns N' Roses fan. And, if you gave me 100 years, I could never play like Slash. So I thought it was impossible to actually play the songs of the people, of the music that you loved, really until I found country music.
Well, they just reunited, and I know I'm sure I've talked with Slash a few times. Very diverse guy. Axl loves all kinds of stuff. I could just see you guys being an opening act eventually for them if you just keep working at it, because that might be another one of these nice diverse cross-pollination presentations.
Oh, that would be an absolute dream come true. There was no bigger band for me when I was a kid than Guns N' Roses. I like to think the Guns in our name pays a little homage to them and that influence. Girls,
Guns, Glory, and Rome. You could kind of mix them all together.
Yeah, believe me, I'd love to see that bill happen one of these days.
Well, look, brother, I could keep you on the phone all day. You're a very easygoing guy. I really wish that we have our huge pledge drive that starts the day before you get here. It's just going to be all-out chaos when you're in town, and then you're on one of those keep it cheap tours where you're just like boom, 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 and you're gone. So I really wish that we had a lot more time to have you come by or do something when you're in town, because I really I dig it. I'm proud of you. I think it's fantastic. You're playing a beautiful venue here. I don't know how you guys have gotten that big in Honolulu so far, but congrats that you were able to do it, because you're playing the Hawaii Theater. It's going to be a really nice room. I'm hoping that you like it when you look around.
Aloha, it's Ward Hayden from Girls, Guns Glory. You're listening to my friend Dave Lawrence. It's member-supported Hawaii Public Radio, and we appreciate your support.
Big hugs, Ward. Great talking to you, and please do stay in touch. And I mean it, if there's extra time, we'll hang, we'll do something, and otherwise definitely enjoy your trip, and really good talking to you. It was wicked pissa. It was the balls.
There's a Bostonian in you.
And seriously, be safe, brother, and stay in touch.
Dave, thank you again.
You're welcome again. Take care. Aloha, bro.
Bye-bye.
Bye.